Hey guys, today I'll show you a science fiction thriller TV series named Cloak and Dagger, Season 1. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The drama begins with the two teenagers. Despite living in the same city, leading vastly different lives, Tandy is a schoolgirl from a standard middle-class family. Her father, Dr. Nathan, works for the Roxxon Corporation. However, with her father busy with work and her mother often ill, Tandy feels a lack of companionship. One day after her ballet class, Tandy's father is late again. She waits in the rain for a while before he finally arrives in a hurry. Before they can exchange more than a few words, Dr. Nathan is caught up in a work call. He seems to be arguing with the person on the other end about whether to shut down an oil rig. Tandy can sense her father's anger and nervously clutches her seatbelt. Just then, the rig on the water explodes, sending their car and its occupants plunging into the water. Meanwhile, Tyrone and his older brother Billy are navigating the streets, trying to find ways to ease their family's financial burden at a young age. On this day, Billy's associate wants him to break into a car to steal the stereo for cash, but Billy refuses, considering it a serious crime. Overhearing the argument, Tyrone takes matters into his own hands, pries open the car, and hands the stereo to his brother. Billy is furious and tells Tyrone to put it back. Suddenly, a police car approaches and the brothers turn and run. The police chase them to a pier. Billy tells Tyrone to hide while he goes out to distract the officer. The officer corners Billy, who explains they were about to return the item. A sudden noise startles the officer, who shoots Billy, causing him to fall into the water. Tyrone screams for his brother and jumps into the water to save him. In the same body of water, Tandy, trapped in the car, is unable to wake her unconscious father. The truck that hit them also crashes into their car, and the water inside is rising fast. Tandy desperately pounds on the car roof. Tyrone tries to swim back to shore. Suddenly, a second explosion occurs underwater, sending a massive wave of energy toward the two children. In a daze, they seem to grasp each other's hands. 8 years pass, and Tandy and Tyrone are now young adults on completely different paths. Tandy now cons rich guys at bars, tricking them into taking her home, where she drugs them and, with her boyfriend, robs them blind, a stark contrast to the well-behaved girl she once was. As for Tyrone, his family's circumstances have improved dramatically. He is now a star player on his school's basketball team. However, his temper hasn't changed. In a recent game, upset by a biased referee, he attacks a player for repeated fouls, turning the match into a brawl. His parents, who are watching, are furious. It's clear that Tyrone's family is now well off, a far cry from his childhood. In contrast, Tandy is homeless and displaced, forced to spend her nights in an abandoned church. After the accident, Roxxon confiscated all of her father's belongings and blamed the rig explosion entirely on Nathan. Her mother fell into alcoholism and despair. Tandy's memories are interrupted by the arrival of her boyfriend, Liam. He gives Tandy her share of the money from last night's robbery, but it's only $500. Tandy asks about the 2 ballet tickets, which were worth $400 for a set of 7 performances in a season. Liam complains that they'll be useless in a week when new barcodes are issued. Tandy desperately needs more money and needs to get a bigger score. Liam suggests a party happening in the woods, which is sure to be full of rich people they can target. Coincidentally, Tyrone has also been invited to this party, as it's being hosted by the school's cheerleaders to celebrate the team making it to the state championships. That night, Tyrone arrives at the party. Tandy, planning a theft, deliberately bumps into him. After a brief conversation, she finds an excuse to leave. When Tyrone goes to get a drink for a female classmate, he realizes his wallet is gone. He realizes the blonde girl from earlier stole it and immediately calls out to her. Seeing she's been caught, Tandy bolts. Tyrone chases her and catches her near a cemetery, but a blade of white light erupts from her hand, knocking Tyrone aside. Tandy stares at her palm in disbelief. She had never awakened this power before their encounter. A cloud of dark energy also gathers around Tyrone. It seems the underwater explosion years ago created some kind of connection between them. Tandy is the first to recognize Tyrone as the boy she met during the disaster. When Tyrone tries to grab her again, the moment they touch, Tandy vanishes without traces of her smell. She hides in the shadows until Tyrone leaves, then returns to the trailer where her mother lives. She unscrews a vent on the ceiling and places her stolen goods into a small red bag. Tandy lies to her mother, claiming she's been staying at Liam's for the past 2 or 3 weeks. Her mother is eager to share details about her new boyfriend, a noble and smart lawyer who is, however, still married. While talking, her mother notices a wound on Tandy's hand and tries to get a closer look. The moment they touch, Tandy sees a vision of her family, happy and together, from years ago. From this, we see Tandy has two awakened abilities, manifesting light daggers and perceiving hope. She can not only sense others' hopes, but also take or destroy them. Meanwhile, Tyrone goes home and collapses onto his bed. When he wakes up the next day, he finds himself on the roof of the Roxxon Corporation building. As he tries to leave through an emergency exit, he bumps into a police officer with blonde hair and a scar on his face. Tyrone would never forget that face, even in death. This was the man who shot and killed his brother. After the accident, Tyrone and his mother had gone to the police to report the negligent officer, but the police chief dismissed their claims, citing a lack of evidence. He stated that Billy's body was in no condition to check for bullet wounds and that there was no scar-faced, blonde officer in the department. Now, Tyrone has seen his nemesis again and even heard his name, Connors. Tyrone rushes home and searches online, finding a picture of Officer Connors. Troubled, he goes back to bed, but the moment he opens his eyes, he finds himself in the trunk of the scar-faced cop's car. This is due to Tyrone's power, teleportation through darkness, combined with fear perception. He vaguely hears Connors talking to several people, seemingly about selling drugs from the police evidence room. After the conversation, Connors opens the trunk, only to get a face full of the powder from Tyrone, who had opened the bag. Before either can react, Tyrone flees for his shitty life. Connors quickly gives chase and grabs Tyrone, choking him. In that moment, Tyrone reads his deepest fear. Connors has been haunted by the accidental killing of Billy and had to ask his uncle to pull strings to cover it up. Tyrone shoves Connors away and, in a moment of crisis, teleports to safety. Elsewhere, Tandy takes her ballet tickets to relive a childhood dream. But just as she leaves, she is grabbed by the rich guy she robbed. He figured she'd come to the performance after seeing the tickets were gone and was waiting for her. He sends his men away and tries to assault her. As Tandy struggles, she manifests a light dagger, stabs him, and escapes. Unsure if he's dead or alive and wanting to avoid trouble, she asks Liam to drive her out of town. After hearing what happened, Liam calls the best medical center nearby to see if the rich guy was admitted. He learns the victim is in the ICU. Once he wakes up, he will surely identify his attacker, so Tandy must leave the city quickly. Liam takes her to an acquaintance who can forge a new ID. The laundromat owner explains that the price depends on their situation. A clean record costs $300, but if they're on the run from a crime, a secure ID will cost over $10,000, as it requires a clean social security number and a registered address to evade police tracking. Liam can scrape together $5,000 or $6,000, but Tandy needs to come up with the rest. She rushes back to her mother's trailer to get her savings, only to find her mother has brought her boyfriend home. Worse, her mother has taken all of Tandy's money to fund the lawsuit against Roxxon Company. Defeated, Tandy takes Liam's money to the laundromat. There, she sees a wedding caterer who has come to get a suit dry cleaned, holding a thick wad of cash. After he leaves, Tandy gives the owner the $5,000, but he says it's not enough. Seeing the caterer outside, Tandy gets an idea. She borrows 2 fancy outfits from the laundromat owner and, with Liam, crashes a high society wedding. The caterer's generous spending suggests the tips here are substantial. Having grown up in this social class, Tandy knows how these events work. All tips for the chefs, band, and bartenders are collected by one person. All they have to do is find that person and take the money. Posing as guests, they scout the event. Liam eventually discovers the money is being held by the maid of honor. Liam has been helping Tandy tirelessly without asking questions, which deeply moves her. She can't resist reading his hopes and sees that he wants to marry her and spend his life with her. Unable to handle such a heavy emotional burden, Tandy pushes him away and flees to the restroom. There, she coincidentally runs into the maid of honor, who kindly tries to comfort her, unaware that Tandy's attention is fixed on her purse. After stealing the cash, Tandy and Liam escape in the wedding getaway car parked outside. They return to the laundromat and get their new IDs. However, Liam wants to know why Tandy ran away from him at the party. Tandy, who never intended to form a close relationship with anyone, knows she and Liam have no future together. The scene shifts to Tyrone. Since seeing the scar-faced cop, he feels he finally has an outlet for his long-suppressed dark emotions. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Tyrone doesn't want to let the man who killed his brother get away. He asks a classmate to sign him in for attendance while he secretly follows Connors. Unfortunately, it's a team practice day. By the time Tyrone remembers, his phone is flooded with messages from his coach and teammates. He rushes back to the gym to find the entire team being punished because of him. First, the fight on the court. Now skipping practice, Tyrone is forced to do drills late into the night. His resentful teammates corner him in the locker room and beat him up. During the beating, Tyrone tries to teleport away but still can't fully control his power. Exhausted, he goes back to stake out Connor's house but makes a noise and is nearly discovered. He gives up and heads home. His mother is preparing for work the next day. Tyrone admires how she managed to pull herself together so quickly after losing Billy. But when he touches his mother, he reads her deepest fear. She is trapped in the darkness of the past, constantly having nightmares about her 2 sons dying horribly. Her outward strength is just a front to hold the family together. This makes Tyrone hate Connors even more. He then takes a gun and breaks into Connor's house, ready to kill him and avenge his brother. The next second, he teleports onto a road and fires a shot at a passing car driven by Tandy. Just minutes before, Liam had been arrested by the police. Tandy was on her way back to save him when Tyrone's sudden appearance caused her to crash into a tree. Tandy doesn't have time for Tyrone's explanations and doesn't understand why she keeps running into him. With police sirens approaching, she quickly starts the car and leaves. The officer who arrested Liam is Detective O'Reilly. She was investigating the stabbing at the request of the rich guy who, to save face, lied and said his attacker was a man. However, he had a woman's scratch marks on his face, and his stinky pants were half off when he was found, a situation hard to explain unless he was trying to assault a male assailant. Because the rich guy isn't cooperating, Tandy is temporarily safe. She parks the car on the side of the road, carefully wipes her fingerprints off, and returns home to find her mother and boyfriend asleep on the couch amidst a mess of empty bottles. While cleaning her wounds in the bathroom, her mother catches her. Just as she's about to ask what happened, Detective O'Reilly's voice comes from outside. Tandy tells her mom to answer the door and deal with the police. Her mother lies, saying Tandy hasn't been home for months, but O'Reilly insists on coming in. O'Reilly explains she's not there to arrest her daughter, but believes she might be a victim and needs to talk to her to confirm. Her mother maintains she hasn't seen her daughter, and O'Reilly reluctantly leaves. When her mother turns to talk to Tandy, she has already escaped through the back window. Meanwhile, Tyrone is frustrated by his repeated failures. He wonders where this power came from, questioning if he's cursed. His words are overheard by a classmate who has a crush on him. She insists on taking him to see her aunt, a spiritualist, who might have the answers he's looking for. Her aunt performs a divination ritual and gives him a list of herbs to buy for a purifying bath. Tyrone, surprisingly, goes along with it. He sneaks back home with his classmate and the ingredients, fills the bathtub with hot water and soaks in it. He closes his eyes and relaxes. When he regains consciousness, he finds himself back on the Roxxon building rooftop, where he sees a young Tandy. At the same time, Tandy sees a young Tyrone. They witness each other's pain and struggles, watching the other sink into an abyss. They are the only ones who can save each other. From this moment, the two establish a true connection. When Tandy wakes up, her mindset has changed. The Tyrone in her vision told her she couldn't keep running. So Tandy proactively contacts Detective O'Reilly to see if she can report the rich guy for attempted rape. However, he has already used his connections to quietly close the case. Furious, Tandy returns to the church, surprised to find Tyrone waiting for her. When she asks how he found her, Tyrone admits that he took a hot bath and saw her hot memories. They briefly exchange what they saw rather than hormones yet, and agree that the Roxxon Corporation is the source of their superpowers. Their respective abilities also seem fitting. For instance, Tyrone is impulsive. If he could manifest daggers, he might have already killed the scar-faced cop for revenge. Tandy, on the other hand, only ever runs away, so she can't have the power of teleportation, or she would have fled to the ends of the earth and never returned to this painful place. They try touching each other to see if they can trigger their powers like at the cemetery, but a powerful wave of energy pushes them apart. Changing the subject, Tandy says she knows he's investigating a cop, but suggests that instead of going straight for the kill, he should first find out who this person is and learn his background. Tyrone replies that as an underprivileged kid in the South, he's seen as nothing more than a thug by the police and can't get close. Tandy suggests he make up a story, like reporting a stolen Tesla bike, to get inside the police station and ask around about Connors. Meanwhile, Tandy pulls herself together and goes home. She knows her mother has been fighting a lawsuit against Roxxon for years, trying to get their house and assets back and clear her father's name. But Tandy doesn't trust her mother's lawyer boyfriend. She approaches him, trying to figure out his real motive for being with her mother. To her surprise, she sees a vision of the man genuinely loving her mother and wanting to build a family with them. This changes Tandy's opinion of him. She musters the courage to go to his law firm, hoping to learn more about the Roxxon case. The man gives her a large stack of files to review. While organizing the documents, Tandy asks about the man's estranged wife. He explains they are separated and it's a divorce in all but name. Despite this, Tandy knows her mother is still bothered by the fact that the man is married. Elsewhere, Tyrone returns to the police station for the first time in years. The place gives him an almost traumatic feeling. He sits down, but his mind is in turmoil, and he leaves quickly, forgetting his mission to gather information. However, his father notices that the bolt cutters from the garage are missing. He checks Tyrone's backpack and finds them. His older son's tragic fate was a result of his disobedience. His father confronts Tyrone, asking what he was doing with bolt cutters, which have only two uses: breaking into someone's house or stealing. He asks if Tyrone wants to repeat his brother's mistakes. Determined to teach his son a lesson, his father takes Tyrone to a rough neighborhood in the South and introduces him to a group calling themselves the Mardi Gras Indians, where he is a spy boy. The decorations on the wall indicate the group was founded in 1812. An obituary of a young man hangs on the wall. An elder explains to Tyrone that the young man was in training to be the next spy boy. The spy boy can travel to distant places to scout for danger and warn them of what is to come. His father explains the traditions of the Mardi Gras Indians, hoping Tyrone will learn to control his actions and become a responsible person. He shows Tyrone a cloak originally made for Billy, which can help a spy boy control his powers. Tyrone accepts the cloak, intending to inherit it in his brother's place. At the same time, Tandy learns that her mother and her boyfriend had a fight and are on the verge of breaking up. Knowing the man truly loves her mother, she goes to his law firm to talk to him. There, she witnesses a hitman disguised as a water delivery man shoot and kill her mother's boyfriend. The hitman then douses the office in gasoline and sets it on fire. It's clear that the man's investigation had angered the wrong people. When Tandy gets home, she hears her mother repeatedly calling her boyfriend, trying to apologize for her earlier outburst. Tandy can't bring herself to tell her the truth, fearing the fragile woman would break down. Tandy returns to the burnt-out law firm, manifests a light dagger, and cuts open a safe hidden behind a door, taking the files inside. Meanwhile, after his talk with his father, Tyrone musters the courage to return to the police station. This time, he finds Detective O'Reilly and tells her his true purpose. O'Reilly explains that Connors works in the Vice Squad. These officers deal with criminals daily and often go to great lengths to hide their true identities, making it difficult to get leverage on them. But Tyrone has seen Connors dealing drugs, a narcotics officer selling confiscated drugs from the evidence room. O'Reilly's expression changes. She promises to investigate the case seriously but warns Tyrone not to get further involved, lest he attract danger. After Tyrone leaves, O'Reilly reviews old files and discovers that since Connors joined the Vice Squad 8 years ago, the crime rate in New Orleans has plummeted. He always seemed to know about drug dealers' moves in advance, leading to their arrests and the downfall of one gang after another. However, the illicit trade never disappeared. O'Reilly deduces that Connors must be allied with a mysterious drug lord, helping them eliminate competitors to monopolize the market. To find the hidden drug syndicate, O'Reilly visits Liam, who is still in jail. He was arrested for 2 burglaries, a bailable offense. However, after spending all his money, Tandy seems to have completely forgotten about her boyfriend. O'Reilly asks Liam to identify the drug lord behind the 12th Street operations in New Orleans. If the information is solid, she can try to get him an early release. Liam, hearing this, is swayed. Based on Liam's intel, O'Reilly finds a dancer at a club. The dancer says a runner shows up at the same time every day to take her money and give her the product, but she has never seen the mysterious figure behind it all. The dancer then scoffs at O'Reilly, saying that bringing her here instead of the police station proves O'Reilly is just as corrupt as the male cops, only looking to score some high-end drugs. O'Reilly guesses the male cop she's referring to is Connors, so she deliberately goes back to the station to test some evidence, letting Connors see her appearing to use drugs, thereby gaining his trust. The next day, Tandy finds Tyrone at school and uses the computer lab to access Roxxon's internal network, printing out information on the management team. She also sees a notice on the homepage for the 3rd annual Roxxon Charity Gala to be held at 7:30 p.m. in the Garden District. Tyrone doesn't have time to ask what Tandy is up to, as his team's state championship game is about to begin. Seeing the cheerleaders in the hallway, Tandy gets an idea. She breaks into a student's locker, steals a private school uniform, and then searches online for photos from past charity galas to see what kind of female companions are preferred. Tandy, dressed in the stolen clothes, goes to an agency that provides companions for high-end parties. Playing the part of a luxury-loving social media influencer, she easily secures a spot for the next night's gala. While Tandy is busy preparing, Tyrone is focused on winning the state semi-final, as basketball was his brother's favorite sport. His mother has even cleared her schedule to attend the game. Tyrone overhears her on a call with her assistant and learns that her biggest client is none other than the Roxxon Corporation. The next night arrives. Tandy and Tyrone each have a battle to win, one on the basketball court, the other in the social arena. Tandy's innocent girl persona is enough to make the high-ranking men let down their hormone guard. She casually moves through the crowd, touching the mid-level managers on her list one by one, probing their minds. In each of their thoughts, she sees a middle-aged man in a suit. Because Tandy is using her powers all night, Tyrone's powers also go haywire, severely affecting his performance on the court. During halftime, as Tyrone sits on the bench trying to compose himself, he suddenly finds himself teleported to the party. He pleads with Tandy to moderate her power usage, as their abilities are connected. Tandy doesn't answer, her eyes fixed on a poster on the wall. She recognizes the middle-aged man from everyone's thoughts and remembers his name is Peter. He was the one who sued her father and came to their house to confiscate all of her dad's belongings. Tyrone interrupts her, asking if she can get him back to the court, as he can't miss this game. In response, Tandy shoves him off a balcony. In this emergency, Tyrone's power activates, teleporting him back to the locker room. However, back with his team, he still can't control his perception abilities. Every time he makes physical contact with a teammate, he sees their fears, which severely impacts his game. He misses a crucial shot, causing his team to lose the semi-final. Resigned to his fate, he goes home to sleep without a girl, but his power triggers again. He sees Connors arguing with a bearded man. The man is angry because Connors failed to protect his people, leading to a dancer being arrested by the cops. Connors explains that the female cop was just a junkie looking for a score. As Tyrone tries to get a clear look at the drug dealer, he is shocked to realize it's Dwayne, his brother's friend from before he died. At the same time, Tandy returns to the church to review the files. She finds that many of them are signed by Peter. She changes back into the stolen uniform and, using the excuse of a flat tire, knocks on Peter's door. No one would refuse a cute high school student, so Peter comes out in his pajamas to help change the tire. Unbeknownst to him, she uses her perception ability. Tandy sees Peter in a fractured space, wearing a life vest, repeatedly pulling dead workers from the water and taking the money from their bodies to put in his own case. This old man's greatest hope is to exploit money from others. Tandy picks up a safety helmet floating in the water, bearing the name of a victim, Mina. Tandy had seen Mina at the Roxxon party. As it turns out, Mina's father was a work partner of Tandy's father, and the sole survivor of the rig explosion. To get closer to Mina, Tandy pretends to be an intern assigned to her. Mina, an environmental scientist, spends her days doing field work in the swamps. She warns Tandy that to handle this job, she'll need new gear, waterproof waders, snake-repellent spray, and goggles. In short, she needs to be ready for an adventure. After Tandy gathers all the equipment and returns to the church with her large bag, she finds Tyrone there. He tells her about seeing his brother's old friend, Dwayne, making a deal with Connors. Tyrone believes Dwayne must have some leverage on Connors. A few hours earlier, he had approached Dwayne, asking for a job in his organization to take down Connors from the inside, but Dwayne told him there were no openings. Tandy advises him to create one if there are no openings. Just force out one of Dwayne's underlings and a position will open up. She told him not to overcomplicate things, and she didn't even finish high school, but she could manage to get an internship at Roxxon. Tandy changes clothes and goes to see Mina, who lives in a house befitting an environmental scientist, filled with academic materials and plants. On a corner of her desk is a photo of Mina with her father and a detailed model of an oil rig. Tandy tries to bring up the explosion from 8 years ago, but Mina quickly changes the subject, saying they need to go check the sampling equipment. Tandy, having read Mina's past papers, is able to hold a conversation with her and develops a genuine liking for the passionate and sincere scientist. They talk about Roxxon's new rig. To minimize the environmental impact of drilling, Mina has developed a new type of valve. She is determined not to let the disaster from 8 years ago happen again. Mina asks Tandy seriously if she signed a non-disclosure agreement when she joined the company. Tandy lies without batting an eye, saying of course she did. Reassured, Mina reveals that they aren't actually drilling for oil. She's not sure what it is, but she can only test it once they start pumping. However, her father once told her it has a combustion value 10 times higher than oil and burns at a much higher temperature. Tandy deliberately mentions reading reports that blamed the explosion on a calculation error by Dr. Nathan. Mina immediately refutes this, saying her father always said Nathan never made calculation errors. Just then, a man runs over to report a problem with the heat shield on the valve. They go to inspect it and find the shield is under extra pressure because a suit-wearing executive, trying to save on installation costs, had the valve placed 10 meters off target, drilling into a shale layer. The excess pressure nearly caused the pipe to burst. Mina says she will report this to Peter and bring a new team to reinstall it. She storms off, and Tandy, in a fit of anger, deliberately sabotages the executive's car. She catches up to Mina, intending to use her perception ability, but stops herself at the last moment. Stealing someone's thoughts is an invasion of privacy, and she doesn't want to do that to Mina. She has revealed too much of her true self during this visit and has been asking a lot about Nathan. The intelligent Mina quickly pieces it together and realizes the blonde girl is Nathan's daughter. Mina is angry at being deceived. If Tandy had been up front, Mina would have cooperated. There was no need for lies. However, her father hasn't spoken a word since the explosion, so Mina knows little about what happened that day. Tandy cautiously touches Mina's father, Ivan, and sees a large door shrouded in black energy. As she tries to approach it, she is instantly thrown back to reality. Meanwhile, Detective O'Reilly is still tracing the drug supply chain. She compares 5 dealers supplying drugs at different locations and finds they crisscross the city. Every time she tries to follow one of them, she loses them in a specific area. Perhaps this area is linked to the drug lord behind it all. Connors, realizing this woman is not to be underestimated, offers to partner with her. Soon after they hit the streets, they spot a deal going down. O'Reilly immediately stops the car, and Connors rushes out to make the arrest. The small-time dealer hides his product and runs. Unbeknownst to him, Tyrone has been tailing him and, in the chaos, grabs the backpack full of drugs. Losing so much valuable product is enough to get the dealer fired. At that moment, Connors catches up to the dealer, pretends to punch him a couple of times, and then whispers for him to tell his boss that someone is onto him. After getting the message, Dwayne contacts Connors to ask who is after him. They agree to meet and talk in person. Unbeknownst to Dwayne, as soon as Connors hangs up, he tells O'Reilly that an informant has tipped him off that the mysterious drug lord will appear today, and they can go arrest him together. A short while later, Tyrone returns the backpack to Dwayne, proving he is worthy of joining the crew. Dwayne can't understand why a promising pre-college student would want to get involved in this mess. Regardless, Dwayne agrees to take Tyrone with him on his next operation, accidentally mentioning that he was there when Billy was shot. Tyrone asks why he's still working with the cop who killed Billy, who was his friend. Dwayne replies Billy is dead, but he's alive, and he could do nothing. This discovery devastates Tyrone. He was just a kid back then, and no one believed him when he said his brother was accidentally killed by a cop. Even his parents thought he was lying, but Dwayne knew the truth and never spoke up for Billy. As they argue, Connors arrives. He tells O'Reilly to wait in the car for 5 minutes while he has a quick word with his informant. When Dwayne hears the knock, he tells Tyrone to leave through the back door. Of course, Tyrone doesn't listen. He hides and eavesdrops, discovering that Connors wants Dwayne to kill O'Reilly. Tyrone immediately calls O'Reilly, but for some reason she doesn't answer. When the 5 minutes are up, O'Reilly enters. Dwayne, following orders, prepares to shoot, but is instead shot and killed by Connors. It turns out Connors' whole plan was to eliminate Dwayne. Tyrone accidentally makes a noise, revealing his position. Connors gives chase, but thankfully Tyrone's teleportation ability activates, and he escapes. Tandy, knowing this isn't the best time, tells Tyrone she needs his help. The door in Ivan's mind radiates an energy similar to Tyrone's. Perhaps he can open it. Tyrone agrees to help. They visit Ivan in the hospital and enter his mind together. The dark energy on the door doesn't attack Tyrone and instead pulls them both back to the day of the rig explosion. The workers inside can see them and attack without hesitation. Tyrone and Tandy quickly hide in an office where they find Ivan. From their conversation, they learn that the rig is less than 2 minutes from exploding. Unless they can reach the core, press the emergency stop, and shut all the cutoff valves, nothing can prevent the massive explosion. With no time to waste, they spring into action. But the workers they encounter on the way are crazed, attacking indiscriminately. They have to fend off attacks while heading to the safe zone downstairs. Suddenly, they hear an explosion in the distance, and the next moment, they are transported back to the office. It turns out that in Ivan's mind, this explosion has repeated hundreds of thousands of times. He can never escape the rig. Tandy asks Ivan what really happened here 8 years ago. He explains that after the alarms and emergency lights went off, there was an energy leak that turned everyone except him and them into bloodthirsty monsters he calls terrors. Ivan believes that when the energy they were drilling for leaked, it affected the brain through pure fear, a fear that could spread from person to person. As he speaks, Ivan hides under a desk, knowing from experience that a burnt terror is about to burst in. The Ivan here is not sane. He has forgotten the real world and is trapped in this tense, repeating loop. Tandy must awaken his mind. She tries to mention Mina, hoping to make him remember his daughter, but Ivan says he has no daughter, though he always wished for one. Tandy retorts that his daughter is in the real world, carrying on the work he started with her father, Nathan. He suddenly realizes Tandy means the person he was once talking to on the phone. It turns out that on the day of the car crash, the person on the phone with Nathan was Ivan. Just then, the phone rings again. Tandy, in disbelief, answers it and hears her father's voice. Seeing Tandy also getting lost in the illusion, Tyrone knows he must shut down the valves himself. He closes his eyes and teleports downstairs to find the core, only to be surrounded by a horde of terrors. Meanwhile, Tandy stays by the phone, talking to her father over and over with so much she wants to say. Fortunately, Tyrone doesn't fail. He single-handedly fights off the terrors and closes the emergency stop and valves. But the explosion still happens. Does this mean what has already happened cannot be changed? Tyrone feels they can't waste any more time here and must return to the real world. They agree to count to 3 and leave together. But Tandy, attached to the phone call, doesn't let go of Ivan's hand. Tyrone tries to pull them apart by force but finds it doesn't work. Resigned, he re-enters Ivan's mind. He doesn't realize that in the time he was gone, years have passed in the mental world. Tandy has now even forgotten Tyrone's name. She just sits by the phone, talking to her father. Tyrone, unable to watch any longer, points out that she's trapped in Ivan's mad mind of a catatonic madman. Tandy doesn't care if it's real or an illusion. In reality, she has no friends and no purpose. At least here, she can talk to her dad. Tyrone stops talking bullshit and rips the phone cord from the wall. If Tandy won't leave, he'll stay and keep cutting the line. To his surprise, Tandy attacks him. This can't go on. Tyrone suddenly realizes that the person on the other end of the phone is just a part of Ivan's illusion, not the real Dr. Nathan. Tyrone tells her to ask the person on the phone something only her real father would know to prove it's him. Just then, the phone rings. She asks the person on the other end who was in the back seat when he drove over the Paris Road Bridge. The voice replies, "No one." This shatters Tandy's illusion. The comfort she has been desperately seeking was just a dream. She has been lying to herself for long enough. It's time to wake up. Tandy snatches a cookie from Ivan and asks if he remembers where it came from. She tells him it's a cookie his daughter Mina baked for him. No matter how much he runs from reality, he shouldn't forget his responsibility as a father. Holding the cookie, Ivan finally remembers the morning before the accident when Mina put the cookie in his hand and told him to guess what was in it. Ivan's memory returns, and he realizes that only he can end this by going to the core and shutting the valves himself, as this is his mental space. Without delay, the 3 of them act. Tandy and Tyrone cover Ivan as he successfully gets downstairs and closes the valves. Then all 3 wake up in the real world, though Ivan has forgotten what happened in his mind. Mina rushes to the hospital after getting the news. Tandy is happy for her, but also feels a pang of sadness. She will never have the chance to see her father again. The awakened Ivan hasn't completely lost his memory. Although Peter had prepped him on what he should and shouldn't say, he secretly tells Tandy that he remembers Nathan writing a memo warning the company about design flaws in the rig. Nathan had also discovered that Roxxon was cutting corners. He stored that memo, along with other evidence, in a safe deposit box at City Lake Bank under an alias, and tells her she should look for it. The next day is the anniversary of the accident, the day both Nathan and Billy died. Tyrone's father plans to have old acquaintances from the Mardi Gras Indians over. To his surprise, Tandy shows up. She pretends to be there to invite Tyrone to a memorial service, but secretly steals his mother's ID card. Meanwhile, Dwayne's death makes O'Reilly realize there is a big problem with Connors. She must find some leverage on him. Connors has just finished a sketch of Tyrone preparing to hunt down the kid who ruined his plans. O'Reilly sees it and immediately calls Tyrone, telling him that Connors has been on edge all day, likely because it's the anniversary of Billy's death, and he's searching everywhere for him. But Tyrone has no intention of hiding. He wants to do something that will make Connors never forget the anniversary of his brother's death. Tyrone finds a jacket similar to the one Billy was wearing on the day he died and fakes bloodstains and bullet holes on it. He plans to pretend to be his brother's ghost to haunt Connors, hopefully scaring him into a state of confusion, making him believe the kid he saw at Dwayne's death was Billy's vengeful spirit. If he's lucky, he might even get Connors to confess. At first, Officer O'Reilly is firmly against it. Tyrone is just a minor. What if Connors sees through the ruse and kills him? Hearing this, Tyrone dons the cloak that helps him control his powers and shows O'Reilly that he can teleport. That evening, Tyrone appears behind Connors and silently takes his gun, shattering his psychological defenses by claiming Connors killed him. Then, O'Reilly swaps the suspect's sketch from earlier, replacing Tyrone's face with Billy's, making Connors believe his own memory is failing him. O'Reilly claims she saw him chasing someone, but honestly, it looked like he was chasing thin air. Connors suddenly sees a figure and asks what she sees now. O'Reilly deliberately says she sees nothing. Tyrone continues his ghostly act using his teleportation. With the cloak, his control is perfect. He successfully lures Connors to the same pier from years ago, and at the right moment, reveals the jacket identical to his brother's. He coaxes Connors, pretending to be Billy, and guides him into admitting he accidentally killed him. Then O'Reilly, who was hiding in the shadows, reveals her sexy body and arrests Connors on the spot. Meanwhile, Tandy finds the key to the safe deposit box among her father's belongings. Using Tyrone's mother's access card, she enters the Roxxon building. She exposes and damages an electrical panel, creating a diversion to corner Peter. From Ivan's mindscape, it's clear that the people at the rig's core didn't just die. They were infected with a virus that triggers fear, causing them to panic and kill each other. Nathan's memo also mentioned his repeated warnings to Roxxon about the dangers of direct contact with the underwater substance without his recommended protective gear, but Peter always ignored him. In the safe, there is also a sample of the rig's valve, which has no heat protection. No wonder it exploded. The reason was entirely Roxxon's corner cutting. Even at this point, Peter tries to buy her silence. Tandy simply breaks a support column, leaving Peter to die. That evening, Tandy and Tyrone meet to mourn their lost family members. Tandy has decided to expose Roxxon's true face to the media. More than money, she wants to restore her father's good name. Tyrone's mother joins them. But as the three of them hold hands, Tandy, through Tyrone's power, sees her mother's fear. It turns out Dr. Nathan was not a good man. He would physically abuse his wife over small things. Only then does Tandy realize she never truly knew who her father was. As for O'Reilly, her actions in arresting Connors come at a terrible price. Someone has murdered her police officer boyfriend. She immediately calls the police and finds the murder weapon, a bloody umbrella, under the sofa. But the responding officer quickly takes it, puts it in an evidence bag, and kicks O'Reilly out of the crime scene. At the same time, the police department invites Tyrone's family for a talk. After all, Connors confessed on tape to accidentally killing Billy. The police state that they have suspended Connors and are awaiting further investigation. But his parents' cold reaction leaves Tyrone utterly confused. While Tyrone is wrestling with this, Tandy has completely relapsed. She's back to her old, grifting ways. Even though she doesn't need the money, the act brings her pleasure because she's discovered she can not only feel hope, but also steal it from others, appropriating the joy of their dreams coming true for herself. During this time, Mina keeps calling Tandy, but she ignores every call. In a way, both Tandy and Tyrone have achieved their goal. One proved his brother was murdered, the other found evidence against Roxxon. But there is nothing more disheartening than achieving a dream only to find it's a nightmare. They have now lost their direction and are filled with confusion and unease. In the afternoon, Tandy's conscience gets the better of her, and she goes to meet Mina. But seeing Mina and her father reunited, with Ivan constantly praising what a good man Nathan was, only makes Tandy more upset. To make matters worse, Mina suggests that Tandy become her assistant at Roxxon to finish the work their fathers started. In a fit of anger, Tandy enters Mina's mind and steals her hope, then storms out. Just then, a bee flies by. The old Mina would never have harmed it, but now she grabs a book and smashes the bee on the sink, showing how the loss of hope has affected her. Now that Tandy has money, she finally remembers to bail her boyfriend Liam out. This guy is truly the unluckiest character so far. He would have been released after giving O'Reilly the drug dealer intel, but it seems everyone uses him and then discards him without keeping their promises. What's most pitiful is that Tandy only rescues Liam to steal his happy dreams. She wants to piece together a happy life for herself using others' hopes. Fortunately, Tyrone accidentally stumbles upon her, and she stops just in time. When Tandy comes to her senses, Tyrone is long gone. Tyrone's day has also been incredibly difficult. In the morning, he got into a fight with a student he bumped into. In the afternoon, he was called to the church by the priest for a talk, which also ended in a heated argument where Tyrone accidentally perceived the priest's trauma, rubbing salt in his old wounds. His classmate sees something is wrong with him and wants to have a serious talk, but Tandy suddenly shows up. Tyrone is forced to enter her mind. His classmate tries to defend her crush, but Tandy enters her mind too, planning to steal her hope. To her surprise, his classmate can resist her. It seems that his classmate, from a family of spiritualists, is not a simple character. Furious that Tandy violated his classmate, Tyrone gets into a huge fight with her, and they part on bad terms. When Tandy returns to the church, she finds Liam has taken all her savings. Meanwhile, Tyrone's mother stops him, wanting to talk about what happened earlier. She explains that she wasn't emotionless about her son's murder. As an adult, she thinks more long-term. If a cop can kill a minor, cover it up, and continue to serve on the force, it means he has powerful allies. Pushing Connors too hard would surely lead him to target the only witness, Tyrone, and she cannot bear to lose another child. That's why she tried to remain calm. It wasn't coldness, it was maturity. But Tyrone believes that giving up would mean his brother's sacrifice was in vain. Just as he says this, the police arrive at their door and accuse Tyrone of murdering O'Reilly's boyfriend. He has no time to defend himself and quickly escapes through the back window. It seems his mother's prediction was right. The forces behind Connors have started to move against Tyrone. Elsewhere, Mina is checking valve data when she sees two workers struck down by an energy wave. They then lose their minds, just like the others infected with the fear sickness. At the same time, Tandy returns home to find the same hit woman who killed her mother's boyfriend holding her mother hostage. The woman works for Peter. Tandy raises her hands to show she's unarmed and slowly approaches the female assassin. While they are in a standoff, her mother grabs a dinner knife from the table and lunges. Tandy tackles the assassin, and they wrestle on the floor. Tandy manifests a light dagger and wounds her. Her mother crawls to the table, picks up a gun, and fires. The hit woman is forced to flee. Tandy tries to call Mina, but there's no answer. She tells her mother to find a place to hide and rushes out of the house. As soon as Tandy arrives at Mina's place, she sees an employee who has already become a terror. Tandy, wielding a light dagger, kills him and then runs inside to take out the rest. She rescues Mina, who is hiding in a closet, and tells her that the unknown substance leaked from the rig explosion 8 years ago causes a strange infection. Peter hid the truth because he wanted to trick her into continuing to extract that energy. Hearing this, Mina immediately realizes the severity of the problem. Besides the one that just erupted, there are 9 other valves scattered across the city. The pressure in these valves is also increasing, and they will eventually explode, infecting normal people. They have to go to the central hub and shut off the main switch. Meanwhile, Tyrone flees to the Mardi Gras Indians territory and gets the controlling cloak back from his father. Just then, police knock on the door. Tyrone quickly teleports away. He blends into a crowd but sees police approaching from all directions. Panicked, he runs into the street just as O'Reilly drives up to rescue him. But before he can get in the car, the police surround him. As Tandy and Tyrone face an unprecedented crisis, the classmate's spiritualist aunt reveals the history of the divine pairing of New Orleans. The first divine pairing appeared when the Choctaw people faced a great famine. Crops withered, and nearly everyone was starving, but 2 children remained unharmed. One of them had a mark on his body, destined to bear a greater burden. He carried a massive stone into the lake, sacrificing his life to bring vitality back to the land. From this sacrificial seed, the city of New Orleans was born. Later, 2 noble brothers became the divine pairing. One day, they challenged each other to a duel over a woman. On that day, New Orleans was hit by the worst storm in its history. As the brothers faced off, the weather worsened. Fortunately, the older brother had a change of heart and secretly removed the bullet from his gun, not firing at his brother. His death not only ended the fight, but also the storm. These 2 examples illustrate the fate of the pairing. When New Orleans faces a crisis, sacrificing one of them can turn disaster into fortune. Now, fear is spreading through the city, and one of them, Tyrone or Tandy, will have to make a sacrifice since they are now the new divine pairing. The story returns to the main plot. The police arrest Tyrone and O'Reilly and lock the controlling cloak in a cabinet. But strangely, they don't formally book them. Instead, they lock them in a storage room. Anyone can see this has Connor's fingerprints all over it. Without his cloak, Tyrone can't control his teleportation. O'Reilly senses that the guard watching them isn't a bad person, and with Tyrone, tries to persuade him not to be an accomplice to a corrupt cop like Connors. Just as the young officers resolve waivers and he's about to unlock the door, his partner comes in and says Connors has just arrived and is sealing off the area. The young officer gives up. A short while later, Connors appears. His suspension is over, and he has faced no other punishment. He has already written the script for their deaths. O'Reilly, unwilling to wait for her fate, struggles to undo her handcuffs. Suddenly, a crazed person, likely a fear-infected individual, bursts into the police station. The strange virus quickly spreads throughout the station. At the same time, Tandy and Mina arrive at the Roxxon building and corner Peter in an elevator. They tell him it's not just a few terrors anymore. The entire city is about to be destroyed. Peter says that these days one has to keep up with trends, just like the Starks and the Rands. Mina gets back to the point and asks where the core control room is. Peter replies that the core equipment is unresponsive, and the valves can't be shut down remotely. Hearing this, Mina punches Peter. It seems they'll have to shut down the valves manually. At this point, Peter confesses that the manual override is in his annex building by the waterfront. Then, Tandy enters Peter's mind, trapping him in the repeating loop of the tower explosion, hoping this will be his punishment. Afterward, Tandy and Mina immediately head out. But as they reach their car, they are attacked by the female assassin and a large group of terrors. Tandy throws a light dagger, opening a nearby shipping container, and pulls Mina inside with her. They quickly shut the doors, but Mina's arm was grabbed, and she becomes instantly infected. Tandy is forced to play a deadly game of hide-and-seek with Mina inside the dark container. The entire city of New Orleans is erupting with the terror crisis, and the police station is in chaos. Tyrone takes the opportunity to retrieve his cloak and joins the fight, helping everyone deal with the terrors. He deliberately lures all the monsters into one room and has the police lock the door. Tyrone teleports out of the station and instantly appears by Tandy's side, handily knocking out the crazed Mina. However, his cloak was torn during the fight at the station, and with Mina unconscious, no one knows how to shut down the valves. As they stand there, lost, Tyrone's classmate finds them. She tells them the legend of the divine pairing. They can save the city, but one of them might have to die in the process. While this is hardly good news, it at least reignites their hope. They still have a chance to save the city. Tandy brings out the black jacket she stole from Tyrone on the day of the explosion when he rescued her. It may not be as magical as the cloak, but it might give Tyrone the strength he needs. Having made their decision, they run into the streets, searching for the main shutoff switch, aiming to solve the problem at its source. But the number of terrors along the way is increasing. Fortunately, O'Reilly is providing cover with a sniper rifle from a high vantage point. As she goes to her car to reload, Connors suddenly appears and shoots her multiple times, forcing her toward a valve. Connors then kicks O'Reilly into the water. Meanwhile, Tandy and Tyrone finally reach the Roxxon control room, but Connors quickly follows and gets in their way. The divine pairing, having had enough, team up to subdue him. Tyrone drags Connors to the roof. Instead of pushing him off, the jacket on his back suddenly activates, swallowing Connors whole. The jacket originally belonged to his brother. Perhaps it was Billy's spirit from beyond the grave avenging himself. At this moment, Tyrone understands his classmate's prophecy. He has the power of teleportation and can reach the control room the fastest. The one to be sacrificed from the divine pairing was destined to be him. But Tandy refuses to let him go alone. She melts the iron gate and rushes in to fight alongside her partner. They hold hands, combining their powers to fight the fear rising from below. After a blinding flash of light, they save New Orleans in the most budget-friendly way possible and successfully break the sacrificial curse, allowing both of them to survive. However, O'Reilly, who was kicked into the water, suddenly climbs out. Her infection seems different from the others. With that, Season 1 of this drama comes to an end. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.